Well,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Oxcord podcast presented by Boot Crew Media and sponsored by Maker's Mark. I am your host, Cruz Oxnard, as always joined by the co-host, Nick Perkins, and the intern, Bond Snow. Wyatt is in the cave. Boys, I am back from across the pond, and I'm very happy to be home.
oh yeah. Okay, so you sounded a little bit worse for wear there. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I got to do a lot of cool things.
It's your first time in London, right?
It was.
Okay.
It was my first time, and I learned a lot of new words.
Wanker, yeah, a lot of bad words probably.
Wanker being one of them.
Yeah, a lot of interesting ways to call someone a dick. Yeah, that's a good one.
Dude, they love the C word over there.
They do. Isn't it so interesting to like be in that culture, and it's thrown around like we say damn over here. Like it's just thrown around like crazy. And obviously here in like America or United States or whatever, it's like it's a no-no to call someone that.
Yeah, it was.
Them's fighting words.
Bro, it was so bad. Like, I was like, holy crap, you kiss your mother with that mouth?
So when you experience like the Premier League for the first time, obviously that's probably where you heard it a lot.
Oh, I got called it so many times. Oh, so many times. Okay, so fun story. Went to the Crystal Palace Chelsea game, and I originally thought I had bought my ticket in the visitor guest section. Where Chelsea was.
Where you're supposed to be, probably.
Where I was supposed to be.
Right.
I accidentally bought a ticket in the Crystal Palace season ticket holders.
Oh, yeah, like the major supporter section.
Oh, yeah, and here's the kicker. I sat directly in the middle of it. Not like to the edge or like in the rows. I sat directly in the middle.
Cruz, I think someone was trying to kill you. I think someone was legitimately trying to get you killed.
I'm not going to lie. That was a huge error on my end. And then so a few things that happened. So one, there was a fight that took place at the station. So when I got off the train, there were cops arresting people who were getting in fights. So they actually made us go to the next station, which was a little bit further down the road. So I was late to the stadium already for kick. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to grab a drink. Got one, realize you can't drink in your seats. You're not allowed. You have to drink basically in this area, like concession area, before you can even go. And
so people don't throw their cups on the field. Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically had to chug their version of their seltzers, which they do gin and tonic seltzers.
Jesus.
Dude, it was a rough chug. It was not fun. And then I also made the third mistake was I showed up a little bit late and I'm looking for my section and I'm in section V. I was like, okay, so there was this door that was blocked off and I was like, oh, okay, it's probably behind there. And then the security guard opens this door and lets a few people in. And I'm like, okay, well, that's probably, I'll just follow them. The guy immediately stops me. I was like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, I was going to my section. And he looks at my ticket. I'm like, no. You can't be in here. Like, you need to go. And before I could turn around, I got called every word in the book by a group of Chelsea fans. like I would lose our Maker's Mark sponsorship if I repeated everything that was said to me.
Okay, so were you there as a Chelsea fan?
I went completely neutral. You could not tell who I was rooting for. I had a gray shirt and a black pullover or a black quarter zip, no logos, nothing. So you couldn't tell who I was rooting for.
Right.
And so I'm getting cussed at, the guy, and then they were like, they're trying to fight me and like all this shit. And I was like, what is happening? So then I was like, all right, screw this. I'm going to my seat. Like I need to go to my seat. It kicked off like 5 minutes ago. I need to go. I was 5 minutes late. And as I'm walking down the row to get to my seat, I'm getting cussed at by the the Crystal Palace season ticket holders for being late. Because apparently that's
a big no-no.
It's a big no-no. And I had no idea. So I'm like walking down, like I have to get through like 25 people to get to my seat because I'm like directly in the middle of the row. And I get there, I'm just getting shit for it. And then Crystal Palace scores like 5 minutes later, everyone forgets about it. Getting high fives, like all this shit. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what did I do? Like, what did I sign up for? And then the guy next to me was with his buddy. He looks at me. I was like, you're not from here, are you? And I was like, no, I'm not. How could you tell? Because it's like you're clapping at the wrong times. And so I felt so stupid and out of place because like I know a little bit about soccer, but I don't know, everything. I don't know when to stand, when not to stand, because it's like courtesy. So he was just like, look, I told him, I was like, hey, this is like my first game. I was like, I wanted to come. Like, I'm sorry. I thought I bought a ticket in the visitor section. He was like, no, okay. Like, it was like, we'll get through this. He was like, and his buddy thought it was hilarious. He's like dying laughing. And so it was like, anytime I clap, you clap. Anytime I stand, you stand. Anytime I sit, you sit. And we will get through this together.
So did you do any of the chants that obviously that they did during the game?
Not really, dude. They have a chant for everything.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and it's one of those. Obviously, if you're in the supporter section, they're going hard for 80 minutes of that game. Oh my god,
I heard the word Chelsea like no less than 1,000 times.
Oh yeah,
like because we were sitting next to their supporter section, like right next to it, that was blocked off, and they have cops everywhere, and they were just going absolutely nuts. And then Chelsea scores 2 goals to win the game. One was like with maybe like 10 minutes left in the match, and I guess the guy who scored used to play for Crystal Palace, so it was like this whole thing, and it was amazing. And then as I'm watching the game, I was like, this stadium looks really familiar. Come to find out, this is where they shoot Ted Lasso. Yes. And so it's AFC's Richmond Stadium. So I was just like beside myself when I found that out, because I love Ted Lasso. And then come to find out, Ted Lasso and the cast and crew of that show was at the Vikings Saints game.
Yeah.
The next day. So I just got like a Ted Lasso filled weekend. It was fantastic.
Yeah. I first off, I would take your best college football environment you've ever been in, maybe like a home at like, night game in Baton Rouge, or like, that special occasion in Bryant-Denny where it's actually a really good one.
2014 Iron Bowl was the best college
take
football
2014 Iron Bowl and compare it to that. Where would you say?
I can't compare it. It's so unique, and it's an
incredible experience. I've always said like everybody needs to do it.
I wish I was drunker at that game. I went stone cold sober into that game.
And did you go with anybody, or was it just you?
Just me.
Yeah. So like you just going, that's kind of an intimidating experience. No kidding,
bro. I after getting cussed at by the team I was going to root for, and then getting cussed at by the people I was sitting next to, I was like, I'm already off to a bad start right now. And I can't drink during this. So I was like, this is awful. So, but it was fun. It was very unique. I had a great time. I love the fact that it ended up being the Ted Lasso Stadium, and then it was a good game too. So it was fun.
Yeah. It's not like it ended like 0-0. That sucked.
Well, because I thought it was going to end in a tie, and so I was getting kind of worried. So I'm glad someone won. And like, there's a part of me that almost rooted for Chelsea at one point when they scored the first goal, because but luckily I'd found out where I was sitting.
Yeah.
So I would have died because.
Yeah. If you went nuts about a Chelsea goal there, you would have probably not left that stadium.
No, not at all. So I got that. I got out of there. Then found a bar that shows college football, and that's where we're going to start with. So sorry about my soccer rant. College football Saturday, week 5, and we need to start in the SEC. Ole Miss taking care of business against Kentucky, and I'll be frank with you, I thought this game was going to be a blowout. I thought Kentucky was going to come in. They got their all-SEC running back in, Rodriguez back, and they have, I think, an NFL guy in Will Levis. But shout out to Ole Miss. They look good. Like they looked like a legit contender in the SEC West, because a lot of people thought like, hey, if they were going to do something, it was going to be last year with Matt Corral and Ely and Snoop Connor and all those guys. And shout out to Lane Kiffin, man. He's got a wagon and a guy named Zach Evans, and Jackson Dart looks like the real deal. And Ole Miss, I'm getting a little more nervous for that Ole Miss game in Oxford in November.
Yeah, you know what's shocking about this Ole Miss team is that they're not beating teams with their offense. They're beating teams with their defense.
Yeah.
Their offense has been, in comparison to previous years under Lane Kiffin, just like a Lane Kiffin style offense, they're used to putting up 50, 60 points a game. Like I said, with Matt Corral, they were just a different team last year. But now this year, it almost seems like their offense is getting just enough done, and the defense is carrying them just the rest of the way. So a little bit of a different team for Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin this year. And like you said, I mean, they're a top 10 team now after their win against Kentucky. So, that showdown between Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin just looks ever more, scary if you're an Alabama fan.
Yeah, I mean, they found a two-headed monster in Quinshawn Junkins, who had 15 carries, 106 yards, and he ripped off that 48-yard run. Zach Evans only nine carries for 24 yards, but he did have a tutty. Jackson Dart did just enough not to lose the game. He went 50%, 213 yards, and he did have a pick, but still had a 72 QBR. This Kentucky team, I thought should have won this game about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, the defining play comes down to 2 things. One was the safety, and the other one was the illegal formation that called back the Kentucky touchdown.
Right.
And and then just a bad fumble by Will Levis to give this game away. But Ole Miss, 5-0, top 10 team again. The thing is, though, Nick, they really realistically could be undefeated going into the Alabama game. They get Vandy this week at Vandy. They should take care of business there. You get Auburn at home. That should be a win. You do have to go to at LSU, and LSU is now, they're a top 25 team now. Death Valley is not an easy place to play. Then they have to go to at A&M, and then they get Alabama at home November 12th. So they have a legit shot to be undefeated going into that game. And that could be a top 5 showdown. If Ole Miss is undefeated at that point, they will most likely be in the top 5 or at worst like 6 or 7.
No, I agree. And as much as we like to say, the SEC West is tough and there are some teams that are down this year. LSU and A&M, they have the ability to play out of their mind at times. They can scare teams. I don't think, always going to LSU is a difficult game to play. And then you have to go to Texas A&M, Kyle Field, that's always rocking. And, it's likely if, you're a top 10 team, you're probably going into that game. It's probably going to be a night game because it's going to be super interesting to watch. They're going to flex it out to be a night game, be a really tough environment to go into. So that's a little bit of a buzzsaw schedule. If they are undefeated going into that team is legit. I don't know if Jackson Dart is that good enough to make it through that stretch undefeated. I say they trip up somewhere along the road and lose one, but I think still a one-loss team going into that matchup with Alabama is going to be a really fun one to watch.
I think I would look at probably at LSU would be the game they trip up at because it'll probably be a night game. And right now, as we look, and we'll get into A&M in a little bit, A&M looks like a head case right now, and I don't think they can score enough points to keep up with Ole Miss, even with it not being a traditional Lane Kiffin offense.
Right. No, I agree with that. I agree.
All right, Bon, what's next?
All right, let's go into Alabama, Arkansas right away. The spread opened up at minus 17.5, and the over/under was 60.
All right, there's a lot to take away from this game. So, one, I watched this game at 8:30 at night instead of 3:30 in the afternoon. Thanks, London. And I will say I thought this was going to be a traditional ass whipping. And it started out that way. It's 28-0 before Arkansas even scored. But the story of the game, obviously, Bryce Young going out of the game in the second quarter, missed the entire rest of the second half. And it was like, okay, like how bad is this injury? Is it just like a precautionary thing? Like we're already up, 28 points. Like we'll be fine. And then Arkansas just slowly started creeping back, and they just slowly started the onside kick, the botch snap on the punt. And you look up and it goes from being 28 to 7.5 to 28 to 3 late in the third quarter. And it wasn't because Jalen was playing bad. It was just the fact that everything that could go wrong was going wrong because it was all special teams at that point. You steal a possession away from Alabama on an onside kick. Immediately after you score, you get the crowd back into it, go down, capitalize, score. then maybe the worst snap I think I've ever seen on a punt. I don't know if it was like, if you thought it was supposed to be a fake to Henry To'oTo'o. I don't know if it was just a complete communication, because I know our punter is a rugby punter, so he likes to drift to the right when he kicks. So I don't know if he was just kind of leading him that way. I don't know what happened. It was a terrible snap. And then immediately they go and score. And then you look up and it's like, holy crap, this is literally a 5-point game. They went for 2 to make it a 3-point game, but luckily that got stopped. Yeah. And then the play of the game for me, and I know a lot of people are going to talk about the Jahmyr Gibbs runs, and we'll get into that. Jalen Milroe is probably dead to rights on a 3rd down, and he ripped off a 70-yard run, and he looked – I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback run that fast in the last couple of years since Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Like, that's the last time I can think of. Jalen Hurts could not run that fast.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Like, Lamar Jackson – that's like Lamar Jackson, like, speed. Kyler Murray is like – he's a different kind of fast. He's little. Jalen's a big dude.
It's like Derrick Henry fast. He's so big he shouldn't be able to move that way. But it was just you look up and he's 20 yards down the field.
Yeah, and that's why I was comparing that to like Cam, because like someone that big can't be that fast. Like, you look at the big guys, like quarterbacks, like Tim couldn't run that fast. Tim was just big. And then Cam was just a different breed. And I'm not saying Jalen is Cam or anything. It was just watching someone that big move that fast was just so impressive. And I actually thought he scored and he got pushed out. Then we go in, we score, we take care of business on defense, and then it just became the Jahmyr Gibbs show. And he's finally arrived. Like, I've been waiting for him to have this breakout game, and he's been good. He's been great in receiving. He's been great in, and the opportunities he's gotten, but he hasn't really like had an opportunity to shine in the run game. And the offensive line, I thought, played great. And man, I'm telling you, he is fast in the open field. At one point, I believe he hit over 22 miles an hour. Which that's, what was it?
22.8 miles per hour.
22.
Faster than any pro in the NFL this season, I believe.
That's insane to be faster than like guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who are playing at the pro level. And he rips off not 1, but 2 literally back-to-back runs on drives. And because one was 72 and the other one was it 80?
It was something. I believe one was 60 something, late, like high 60s, and then the other one was like 72, 74. Both of them were, they
didn't have the sound
game-changing runs. Yeah,
they didn't have the sound on at the bar because so it was on. They had it on a stream, and it was all so like they did it from the CBS stream. So I was probably.
You're probably pretty lucky to find that bar.
Oh my God. Yeah. Someone actually recommended it to me on Twitter. So I can't remember who it was, but huge shout out to them. And we found it. And they had all the college games on. So we saw the end of the Arkansas game, or not the Arkansas game, the Ole Miss Kentucky game. They had the A&M Mississippi State game on there as well. So it was a very clutch spot. And then, but Jahmyr Gibbs, 18 carries, 206 yards. I know a lot of those numbers are a little, stretched out because he had those 2 back-to-back major runs, 76 yards being the longest. But Jalen Milroe, man, he deserves so much credit for what he did because he was in a hostile environment. Everything that was going wrong at that time because Arkansas scored right before half. They get the ball to start the half, score. Mm-hmm. Onside kick, score, botch kick, score, and you're just like, holy crap, like what is happening? And you put a guy in here who has no major playing experience, and he looked calm, cool, and collective, and he figured it out. He went 4 of 9 for 65 yards. He had that screen pass to JoJo Earl, which thank God he's back because we've been looking for a guy. And our wide receivers actually showed up today. Kobe Prentice I love him. I love him already. He's a freshman stud in the making. Isaiah Bond, the guy I told you about to start the season out of Buford, Georgia. He looks like the second coming of Jalen Waddle. These
receiving numbers for these guys too are even a little bit swayed down because the receivers had a little bit of case of the drops early in this game, and it was tough to get the offense rolling. But I mean that's just what it's going to be in a hostile environment. You're not going to play at your best every single time in a hostile environment. And even with those drops, this Alabama offense still put up 28 straight. This game, this was one of those rare games where, you pretty much witnessed 2 blowouts. Alabama blew out Arkansas 2 times in one game.
They did.
And outside of, that crazy 23-point stretch, where 23-point unanswered stretch that Arkansas had, this game was never out of hands for Alabama. So other than maybe like 8-9 minutes of game time, this game was completely out of control for Arkansas. And it's honestly, a lot of people are saying bad things, about Bill O'Brien. You know what I mean? I think there's some questionable. I thought great per se. I think he really, tried to throw the ball maybe a little bit too much with Jalen Milroe in a hostile environment. But again, that's Bill O'Brien, not me. I'm not getting paid $2 million to coach a football game. So, so my opinion really doesn't matter there. But it all ended up working out. And obviously with the weapons you have that Alabama does have, makes the job probably pretty easy. But I thought he did okay. Defense played great. Defense showed up. Like I said, other than that, 9-minute stretch, the defense was shut out. Will Anderson still looks like the best football player on the planet, the league, in the country right now.
Yeah, you can say planet. It's fine.
you could honestly make an argument. That's the crazy thing about this guy right now. So I don't know. It was a good win on the road. Obviously, we hope Bryce is healthy. The rumors coming out right now is it's an AC joint sprain. So probably a couple weeks out, but
I don't know. There's talks he might play this weekend, man.
Well, Vegas has the spread at -20 right now. I don't want to jump into our next episode's topic, but that tells me Vegas knows something.
So let's hypothetical. Let's just say Bryce doesn't play. Let's just say he comes out tomorrow. Saban's like, hey, it's a severe sprain. We're gonna keep him out because you look at the schedule coming up. We have A&M. I would rather sit him for this game because I just watched Mississippi State run for almost 8 yards a carry against Texas A&M, and Alabama just ran for 317 yards against a decent Arkansas front seven.
Yeah, and
I would just run. I would just start Jalen. You can run read option with Jalen and Gibbs and Jace McClellan, and you can do the quick screens like they were doing, the easy passes that Bill O'Brien put Jalen in the opportunity to succeed because it was like, hey, when you're running the ball that well, you don't really have to throw and then you hit him with the play action. Defense looks good. I would rather rest Bryce for this game and have him ready to go at Tennessee because I think that's going to be the hardest game on the schedule right now. Tennessee is a wagon on offense, but defensively they're not good. So that game's gonna be a barn burner. I think so.
What are the odds you think Tennessee wins the East this year? Obviously, seeing Georgia struggle the way they are, and Tennessee playing out of their mind right now. That game is looking really interesting now.
It is, and we'll get into Georgia in a minute. But I think watching what Jalen did. And you get an entire week of Jalen getting starting reps, and you have a set game plan for him running the ball because they showed the last couple games you can run the ball on A&M. App State did it, Arkansas did it, Mississippi State did it, Bama can do it, and I would rather just be cautious, have our defense which is much better than last year going into that game. I would rather do that and then get ready to go for Tennessee.
All right, let's talk about Oklahoma versus TCU a little bit. Ooh. Oklahoma being exposed.
Yeah. Did you see this game over there?
I saw the clips of it because I actually thought it was a typo because I could not believe that TCU did that.
It was the most unbelievable thing.
The line was Oklahoma -6.5, and Oklahoma was a 65.5% favorite.
I mean,
that game was never close. It was never close.
We talked about TCU arguably being one of the worst teams in the Big 12. Everyone did. Everyone thought
did. It wasn't just us.
No, and because I was like, I went on record. I was like, I think Kansas is going to win more than 4 games this year, and they're already at 5. So I felt pretty good about that one. But I didn't think Kansas is going to be doing what they're doing. I did not see this coming from TCU because they were a dumpster fire a year ago. They fired Gary Patterson, and look, I know Oklahoma lost to Kansas State. I actually think Kansas State's a pretty decent team in the Big 12. I don't think they're going to win the Big 12, but I think they're a good team. AJ Martinez is a good quarterback, but to get beat down the way you did, it was 27-10 after the first, Nick. It was embarrassing.
They were on pace to score 100 points at the end of the first, 100 points and over 1,000 yards of offense.
This Dugan kid for TCU, like Madden numbers, it was insane. I mean, he 23 of 32, 302 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had a 73-yard bomb. He had a quarterback rating of 176. I mean, holy crap, man. Are you kidding me?
Sooner are terrified right now.
I thought Oklahoma was a little bit overrated coming into the year because they lost a ton of talent. And Brent Venables never been a head coach before. So I thought Oklahoma would be good. I didn't think they'd be great. But to lose 2 games in a row, the way they've lost 2 games in a row, is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not ranked anymore, Nick. They're no longer ranked.
When was the last time Oklahoma wasn't ranked in the top 25? It's been a long time. I mean, because even when they weren't great, they were still maybe a 3-loss, 4-loss team at worst. Maybe. I don't know that for a fact. I don't think they ever just had a crazy embarrassing year, though.
Oklahoma has been ranked for 31 consecutive polls.
Whew.
Jeez.
But they went from 6 to unranked this week after that loss.
Yeah, well, that's a bad loss. That's a real. I'm not really seriously buying the TCU. I know they're undefeated. They're undefeated now, right?
They're still undefeated now, and they played Kansas, the other undefeated, America darling. Which I am fully on board with the Kansas train.
I like Kansas. This was my point, though. I don't know if TCU really is that good. Per se, I don't think like their talent on their team is that good. I think they bought in with that first year head coach momentum.
Yeah.
As soon as that fire kind of dies out, I'm not sure if this team is going to be like just very good. I could eat my words; they can make the playoff this year. Who knows, right? But I don't know. I don't see the same caliber of talent. This Kansas team is very different. That running back is a stud. He's an NFL talent.
The quarterback is a stud. I mean, Jalen Daniels is slowly starting to get mentioned in Heisman talk right now. I know
he should.
He's got 11 touchdowns on the year. He has a quarterback rating of 96. He's doing it all for this team. And Devin Neal, the running back for Kansas, it's fantastic as well. You called it, Nick. He is a unit. So I'm looking at Kansas' schedule, and their next 4 games, I would say 3 out of the 4 games, will tell us, is Kansas a legit Big 12 contender? So they have TCU this week. College Game Day is going to be there. It's at Kansas, which can't wait to watch that.
I'm so glad Game Day is going there. It's going to be awesome.
We'll get to watch it. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff for us, so we'll get a chance to see it.
Yeah, very excited for that one.
And then they go to Oklahoma, which we've seen they can be beat.
They 100%.
They go to at Baylor, which Baylor is still a sneaky good team. I know they're not ranked currently right now, but they have some guys, and Dave Aranda is a good head coach, and that could be trouble. Then my team I picked to win the Big 12, which right now I feel really good about, Oklahoma State. They're just beating the hell out of people. Spencer Sanders is legit. That 4-game stretch will tell us how real Kansas is. And then they end the year at Kansas State, which that's going to be a really fun rivalry game this year.
Yeah, actually, it's been the toilet bowl of recent years because both teams haven't been that great. But randomly this year, this is going to be like the game to watch at the end. I'm excited for it. I mean, does this year not have like that 2007 feel for you?
It does. And I hate it. Chaos is like right around the corner.
Chaos is everywhere right now. We're like, if Arkansas comes back and beats Alabama the way they did last week, or like in that comeback, that would be unbelievable. And then Georgia almost dropping a game to Kent State. Like, good Lord, this year's crazy.
All right, Bon, what's next?
So, well, you touched on it. Let's talk about OK State Baylor.
Yeah, so this game had a lot of hype going into it. We picked these two teams to represent the Big 12 in the Big 12 championship game. Me and Bond did. And honestly, I came away very impressed with Oklahoma State at the end of this game. I was getting a little nervous about this team's defense because, one, it's the Big 12 and it's hard not to worry about it, but they look good, man. It's hard to argue that they're not the best team in the Big 12 right now. I think they are fantastic. They have a great balance offensively. Spencer Sanders is slowly becoming one of the, maybe already is the best quarterback in the Big 12 right now. Their defense has stepped up when it's needed. Baylor had multiple shots to come back and win this game. Baylor had a 22-point third quarter, but Oklahoma State held them scoreless in the fourth quarter, which really was the difference in this game. And I like what I see so far from Mike Gundy being able to know how to basically not put up these video game numbers like we're used to with his offense, but actually be able to, run the ball, be able to play time of possession, be able to play shutdown defense. This isn't a typical Big 12 team that we're accustomed to seeing. I like this team a lot. And frankly, look, if they win out, which I think they have a great chance to, because I thought Baylor was going to be their toughest game, especially before the year ended or the year started. Oklahoma State has a legit shot at making the playoffs because they
have a legit argument. And I think that's all this team could really ask for at the end of the day. And obviously this game, OK State and Baylor, was a revenge spot. I actually did. I overthought this game. I really did. I really overthought this game. I thought that Baylor spread was almost too good to be true, but I was wrong. I've been wrong about this OK State team. So I'm just going to leave it at this. I got no analysis for this game other than Mike Gundy is coaching his ass off right now. It's a fantastic performance he's putting in this year, and honestly good for him because he's always been like above average. I think we could always say that OK State as a whole as a program in the last 10 years has been above average, and he's finally making that headway. And I think this might be the year because Oklahoma is down, and I think Kansas and Kansas State and TCU, while they are, fun teams to watch and they're the country's darlings right now, I don't think they can hold a light to this OK State team. So maybe this is OK State's year to make the playoffs. I think that'd be really fun. So congratulations to Mike Gundy on being a great coach.
They were this close for me to being my playoff team because I remember when we did our Big 12 preview show, I was like, I really like this team a lot, and I was on the fence about them, and I decided to go with NC State, which I hate myself right now because they lost this week to Clemson, which I hate myself for. And then Utah's still in the running. I feel good about that. Utah is still in the running. They have a legit shot. If they beat USC in a couple of weeks, I feel really good about their chances, because Oregon is a head case. UCLA 5-0, by the way. So they have a chance to boost their resume, but I really like Oklahoma State this year, though. Good for them. I like Mike Gundy. I think he is one of the better coaches who doesn't get enough love. He's been there forever, and he has the greatest press conference speech of all time. I'm a man. I'm 40.
It's one of the all-time moments in college football. I love it. Vaughn, what's next?
Let's talk about Clemson NC State. That line was Clemson -6.5, which covered, won by 10, and the over/under was 40.5.
I don't want to be that guy, Cruz. I really don't. Don't. But I was so right about Clemson this year that they would have their bounce back year and that they would be the annoying ass team in the ACC this year. But I'll tell you, NC State was your playoff team, and obviously I think at this point you can probably fairly say that dream is over.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get a lot of help. They are. I picked them because defensively I thought they were good enough to get the job done, and I was wrong. Look, Clemson played a really good game in the second half, running the football. DJ did not impress me throwing the ball, which he never has and he never will, but he can run, and that's something that a lot of teams are gonna have to find a way to stop him. I know they still have a couple more challenges coming up, and I'm curious to see how teams are going to try and scheme, because look, if you can beat Clemson if you make DJ throw the ball. You can. But when you allow
Wake Forest
him to
said the same thing and they lost though. That's
Wake Forest also has one of the worst secondaries in the ACC.
That's true.
That defense that secondary is not good. But I took two things away from the game. One, Sam Hartman for Wake Forest is a really good quarterback because the throw the way he did on that defense 2 weeks ago was insanely impressive. And two, Clemson's defense is starting to wake up a little bit, and because look, they gave up a quick touchdown that they were down 6-7, and when Clemson scored to answer it after that feeling, NC State never felt like it had a shot after that because it was tied at halftime 10-10, but it never felt like NC State was going to win this game after that. DJ just, like I said, he ran the ball very effective. I think they finally found their formula to be successful offensively. Now, I think a team can still get them in the playoffs. I think they can still be beat. The rest of their schedule, though, they get Boston College this weekend. Then they go to Florida State. They get Syracuse, which Syracuse is undefeated. Syracuse is not a bad team. And
did you see their game? Obviously, you were in London, so you probably didn't catch this. But
I heard
they were okay. So they were beating this team so bad that they ended up doing 10-minute running clock for the fourth quarter.
I know.
I've never seen that in collegiate sports before.
Both second half.
Yeah, second half.
They played Wagner, and they beat them.
So that's in Syracuse. I found out that was so. That's like a game that they play every year. That's like if Alabama played Alabama A&M or something.
That's just me. Then they go to Notre Dame. They'll probably win that game. Yeah. Louisville, Miami, and then South Carolina. 3 straight home games to close the season out. Clemson most likely is going to go. They're going to finish undefeated. Now,
at this point, I think they got past the teams that were probably going to upset them.
I thought Wake Forest or NC State was their best shot of getting caught. And NC State, look, they played well, but they just couldn't get it done in the second half. Devin Leary couldn't get the job done. And I give Clemson props. Right now, I think Clemson has the clearest path to the playoffs out of every other team left. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. I think Clemson has the clearest path to the ACC championship and into the college football playoffs. Because if they go undefeated, it's hard to keep Clemson out.
Yeah.
I agree. Right. What do you guys think about Ohio State's Bond, just continue with yours. And if we talk about Ohio State, I'll talk about that. So go.
No, last game we were going to cover before we go to NFL is UGA struggling against Mizzou. UGA was favored by 28.
This is another one of those.
The money line for UGA was minus 20,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd be shocked if anybody actually took that. But the thing with this one kind of that blew my mind a little bit. And I am not normally this good at hitting live bets or whatever, but I rode Georgia that entire game. I knew for a fact that they were going to win that game the entire time.
So it was so late in London, and we didn't get that channel because I had left the bar. The bar closed right after the Alabama game. I didn't get a chance to watch it. So I saw the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to ask you that. Did it ever feel like Georgia was going to lose that game?
No, okay. For different people, different thing. Because, I would not blame anybody for thinking that Missouri was going to upset. Because at one point, it was like, okay, Georgia scored. This is where the comeback starts. And then, man, that next drive, Missouri just, marched down the field, would kick a field goal or get a touchdown. It was just like, man, this team will not go away. Georgia is officially playing back kind of to where Georgia needed to be playing to be in order to win that game, and Missouri just wouldn't stop. They wouldn't go away. So, I mean, all the credit in the world goes to that Missouri team because they showed up to play that day, and I think Georgia kind of was sleepwalking a little bit. But, man, what a game. But I will say, it never did truly feel like Georgia was going to lose in that spot. I couldn't believe it.
Damn. I was curious about that because, like I said, I didn't get a chance, so I was keeping up with it, and I'm like, oh my god, is this actually happening right now? Is it just upset central going on? I'm looking at week 6 for college football lineups. there's a lot of good games lined up.
Very fun.
I know we're gonna touch on those on our next episode. But like Tennessee, LSU, Kansas, TCU, Arkansas, Mississippi State is actually an underrated game. I think a lot of people are just saying Arkansas is done for the year. And I know Mississippi State's coming off a huge win against Texas A&M, but don't be surprised. Arkansas is a good team, and they just ran into the buzzsaw that was Alabama, and then they got unlucky against A&M. Auburn, Georgia is going to be look.
It's going to be tough.
Auburn should have beat LSU like that. Like LSU had no business winning that game. It was 17-0.
Yeah.
In the second. And
I think LSU threw for all of like 7 yards in the second half. Like they just could only run the ball. I think but I think that's more towards LSU not being able to throw it. Right. Exactly. They couldn't throw the ball, so they had to run.
Yeah. Look, I've seen the last 2 weeks Kent State and Missouri take Georgia to the wire. I'm definitely not. If this game was in Auburn, I'd be like, crap, Auburn, Jesus, is about to show up and ruin this thing, aren't they? But Georgia is like 30-point favorite, so I'm not too worried about that. Utah, UCLA, top 20 matchup. Utah is 11, UCLA 18, 5-0. The game I thought was going to end up being a really good game this year was Ohio State at Michigan State. That game has lost a lot of luster. Michigan State is now 2-3, Ohio State 5-0, which I will say this though, if Ryan Day tried to fight Mel Tucker would beat the shit out of Ryan Day. And honestly, Greg Schiano would beat the hell out of Ryan Day. Like Ryan Day,
just a little scrawny little man. He doesn't look like he could fight. He looks like a nerd.
Ryan Day looks like that dad at a t-ball game who got too drunk and was trying to fight the umpire.
I ain't hear no bell.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Another game I find interesting. There's two games I find interesting. That's BYU at Notre Dame. Now, BYU has a chance to go in, be 5-1, probably be a top 15 team going into the Arkansas game because they get Arkansas at home in 2 weeks. And Notre Dame, they won 2 games in a row. They had a bye week. Now it's time to see if they actually got their shit together. So that's going to be something to look out for. And the other one is Florida State, NC State. Both teams coming off their first loss. It's at NC State. Which team was the anomaly? Like, which one's going to bounce back? Is it going to be Jordan Travis? Is it going to be Devin Leary? I'm kind of curious to see there. That game is a coin flip game right now for Vegas. So I'd be curious to see which one that's going to turn out to be. Because, I mean, you can still win the ACC. You just need a little bit of help. And so this team, the winner of this team is in second place for their division. And it's a night game. Should be a fun one to watch.
Where is this one at again?
This one is at NC State. We won't be watching this game. It goes on the same time as the Alabama A&M game that we'll be at. And I'll be curious to see what this game is going to look like, though. I want to see who can bounce back and, still keep a running for the ACC title. And but yeah, I'm excited for this week. It's going to be a really fun matchup. Next week is electric. Can't wait.
All right, that's it for all we have for college. Unless you want to talk about Ohio State.
I just kind of want to briefly mention that I don't get, like, and you guys can probably fill in and explain this to me. What happened? Like, I don't get why they tried to fight each other. Like, why the two coaches tried to fight
because they were up like 49-3 or 49-10 on Rutgers, and they ran a fake punt on 4th down.
Oh, that's a dick move.
It was bad.
Really?
I mean, it was like
4th and 3, and they were in the part of the field where it was kind of like,
that's just not nice.
Okay, if it was a close game, you go for it. That was kind of like
I think they were just trying to do it. I think they were just trying to eat clock.
That's,
to be honest, and
that's a dick move. Well, I wonder if there was like a bet you could put that there would be a fake punt run.
That was a bench clearing brawl.
Dude, that would be a great bet. I would take that. I would
take it every time. Just put like $1 on it every week.
Yeah. I'm sure the odds are great.
Greg Schiano did not like that. And then so Ryan Day got mad because the punter took a hell of a hit from the Rutgers kick returner, and it was kind of late because like he was already out of bounds, but the refs didn't really call it. And Day did not like that, and then started getting in the Rutgers player's face, and then Schiano came across the field.
Gotcha. Okay. I was curious. I know I saw the highlights. I didn't really know like the backstory about it. All right. If you had to put a bet on it, who would you bet on, Ryan Day or Greg Schiano?
Oh, Greg Schiano, absolutely.
No,
Greg
Ryan Day, 100%.
Oh, I'm going Greg Schiano.
Greg Schiano's a bitch,
Ryan Day's
dude.
a nerd, dude. Like he looks like he gets shoved into lockers. Like there's no way Ryan Day wins that fight.
No.
It's no go ahead.
Or it's dunk on Greg Schiano.
All right. Well, if you had to put money on it, you would use the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The NFL action is in full swing at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We're talking touchdowns, big play, and even bigger wins. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL game to win $200 in free bets if they do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app out. Use promo code BOOT, that's BOOT, to get $200 in free bets. If your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game, that's code BOOT, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sponsor of the Oxford podcast.
Good
Nick,
to have you back, man.
How was your outing? Yeah, how was your outing?
It was all right. He had one.
It was good.
He had one.
I had one but I didn't mess up any of the words. So my ADD didn't
I'm proud of you.
kick in, and so I didn't mess up that. But I will say, man, like you were dearly missed. I do not enjoy running the show. I like being the little guy that like talks every 5 or 10 minutes. That's my favorite part. I just show up and talk. I don't like running the show. That's not fun.
Oh man.
All right,
so I got respect to you for doing that because you actually do a really good job.
Thanks,
Let's go ahead and rip this Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Saints Vikings.
Oh, you dick.
Yeah. Okay, but hey, really quick, I also just want to point out that I was the only one that cashed, or no, I'm sorry, who was the only one that didn't cash on the pay for the drinks parlay last week?
It was me by 9 seconds.
Okay, yes.
9 seconds.
So I also want to say
Ohio
that
State-
both
Ohio
of my
State-
best bets hit, and I just went with the one just because you talk shit, and I still won the bet. So I'm 4-1 on 5 games. So
Okay.
I'm the best on the show.
Yeah,
Everybody
you
else
are.
is dog shit.
That's the last time I listened to Marler.
I'll give you props, Nick. You're killing it with the bets.
4-1. Alabama first half is just free money every single week.
So here's the thing. I feel like you're kind of cheating taking first half money.
I won't do it anymore.
All right. I'm just saying, like taking Alabama like first half money line.
It wasn't money line. It was spread. It was spread.
You took Alabama minus 17.
No, minus 10 first half.
Yeah.
First half.
Yeah. You're taking first half spread.
No. Okay, fine. Granted, it's free money. I'll stop taking it.
All right.
But my 4-1 does not have an asterisk next to it.
Okay, it does not. I'll give you that. We're just trying to win people money. That's all we're doing. All right. So yes, I was in attendance for the Saints Vikings game in London. So you got to enjoy your Sunday morning watching me cry. A few things. One, that stadium is absolutely incredible, and I had a blast. It was very unique. Oh my God. Beers are so cheap in London at games, Nick. It was so great, and I could actually drink at my seat. Didn't have to worry about getting beat up at the game. It was so unique there. It was kind of like a social event because there were fans of every team there. I even had a game. I played a game. I saw a jersey for all 32 teams. Either at the
That's what
pub,
I love about the London games,
the
man.
pub or at the stadium. I saw a Matt Ryan jersey at a Saints game where the Falcons were not
Falcons
playing.
Matt Ryan jersey. Hell yeah, that's
Falcons
cool.
Matt Ryan jersey. I even saw a Michael Vick jersey, but we won't get into that.
Okay. Thanks for that.
But we'll talk about the game. This team is the most frustrating team I have ever watched. Nick, I have watched some really bad. You can't
even really say the defense is good anymore.
Well, yeah, the defense is exhausted because it's on the field the entire game.
That is true.
And okay, and I know that it's a typical Saints fan to be like, well, the refs screwed us over. Nick, you cannot watch that game and say the fourth quarter was some of the worst officiating you have ever seen. It was.
It wasn't
God
great.
awful.
It wasn't great.
But
at what point, Cruz? At what point do you sit there and say, "Okay,
we're just not a good team.
We just need to beat teams better." Like
where
you're not even leaving it up to the refs.
I could not agree more. I couldn't agree more. That's like it's so frustrating because we have so much talent on this team, and of course, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and Jameis Winston did not play this game. So you already.
If they play that game, I think y'all win by 10.
I do too. I 100% do. I think we win that game if they do play. I thought Andy Dalton played well. I didn't think he played spectacular, but I didn't think he played bad. I thought he was good. I thought he was probably the most consistent quarterback play we have had since Jameis balled out in the fourth quarter of the first game. But we haven't seen that since, and it's been driving us crazy. Now we are the most undisciplined team in the NFL. We lead the league in turnovers and in penalties. You can't win football games doing that. It is mind-blowing how often we shoot ourselves in the foot on a weekly basis. It's not like we just don't have talent on this team. We do. We have talent everywhere. And look, the fact we were even in this game, I was happy. Because it looked like this game was going to be a blowout. Like Minnesota literally goes down on their first drive and scores. I'm like, oh, great, here we go. It's something about playing the Vikings I hate. They just have our number. They always have. Ever since Bountygate, they've had our number.
Well, the issue is you went up against 8 a.m. Kirk Cousins, and that dude, the furthest thing away from prime time, he's going to be the MVP.
He's elite.
He's just elite. Anything other than prime time, he's elite.
And it was, but we stayed in it. I thought we looked. Chris Olave looks
like rookie of the year right now.
He looks like rookie of the year. He looks fantastic. He got a chance to shine, and starting with Michael Thomas being out, I'm excited to see what he can do with Michael Thomas back in the lineup. I think he's arrived. Will Lutz is a really good kicker, and he hit 160-yarder to tie it, and he went for another one, and we got double doinked, and unfortunately, it is what it is. But I had a great time. It was a very unique experience. I think one and done for the London game was enough for me, though. I think it was. It was.
The experience. It's good.
It just didn't feel like a legit game. Like it just felt like we were just there, and it was just very odd. But I will say I sat next to a really fun group of people. They were there for a work event, have never watched American football before, didn't know any of the rules. So I was explaining it to them, and they were buying me drinks, and it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. And they left the game being Saints fans. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do to these people?
You just caused them a lifetime of pain, man.
I was like, no.
That's tough.
Yeah, but it was great. We are currently 1-3. We play the Seattle Seahawks this week. It's in the Superdome.
Don't sleep on Geno, bro. That dude is freaky. He's turned back the clock, man. That dude's good.
If we lose to the Seahawks, Nick, I think I'm ready to throw in the towel.
You're looking at top 5 pick right now. You're looking at giving the Eagles a top 5 pick.
What did you say, Bond?
It's like, come root for the Packers if y'all lose this week.
I will just. I don't know.
That might be even more difficult,
bro.
Because you actually have a quarterback for Green Bay, and they're still kind of shit.
Yeah.
Right now, the Eagles, if the Saints keep this up, the Eagles have the number 4 pick and the number.
I know.
Number 4 pick. Number 4 pick, Cruz. They could
number
actually
4
trade
pick
up
to a Super Bowl contending team.
They could legitimately trade up. They could give the 4 and 32 and go get Will Anderson at 1. They could do that. That's what your team is allowing to happen.
Will Anderson and Jordan Davis on the same defensive line,
bro.
Oh man,
you're creating the Philadelphia Eagle juggernaut right now.
It's not my fault.
It's your fault. It's Cruz's fault.
I feel like Bill O'Brien right now. Okay, look, I'm already sad enough. Like, can we just move on to the next game, please?
Yeah, let's go talk about Knicks Falcons for a little bit.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about the fun team on the podcast.
All right, so discretion. I did not get a chance to watch any of the other games. Just didn't have the ability to. So I will give the floor to you, Wyatt, if you actually want to come in and and take over for me. You can put me in the cave, and I will let you guys discuss the NFL games because I didn't get a chance to see any of them. But I will say this before you kick me out. I am glad the Miami Dolphins fired that doctor.
Yeah,
I'm glad Tua is okay.
I don't think that was their decision. That was the NFLPA that did that.
Good.
I'm glad.
I don't care whose decision it was, and I'm glad Tua is doing okay, and I hope he's not rushed back. And Jalen Hurts is making me look like more of an idiot every day.
Every single week,
he is really.
It's just repeatedly kicking Cruz in the nuts every single Sunday that he
plays. I also forgot that to set my fantasy lineup on Sunday, and Miles Sanders went for 28 points on my bench.
Oh, brutal!
And I lost by 10.
I drafted that guy 3 years in a row, and he was dog shit. This is the first year I don't do it, and he's actually good. I hate myself.
My Saints suck. My fantasy team sucks. At least Alabama's good.
Well, okay, let's talk about the team that is actually good, though. The Atlanta Falcons are 2-2, second in the NFC South.
Timeout. This is something I've been wanting to do since March. Cruz.
Oh no.
Goodbye.
Oh, he kicked him out. Oh no, he didn't. Why? That might be like career suicide right there.
That was it right there. This is the last time you will hear from me.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, hey, listen. Okay, did you guys get a chance to watch the Falcons game at all, or no?
I did not.
Okay,
it was one of.
It's fair because they're a small market team. That's fair. But listen, they're a fun team, man. They're a fun team. I would say that they're average this year as far as like the actual product that they're putting on the field. There are teams that are being way worse. Like I would say the New England Patriots, the New Orleans Saints, Oakland Raiders, New York Jets, they're putting off way worse products on the field than the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, 2-2 at this point in the year for me is an absolute dream come true because I thought we were legitimately going to go 0-17. I full real thought that. And I was stupid for thinking that because this team's actually really good. Like this defense is playing above what I even thought they were capable of. I mean, hell, when was the last time that you saw the Atlanta Falcons end a game on a defensive stand, like getting a turnover and ending a game like that? And how many opportunities have they had? And it just goes the opposite way. So that was really refreshing. I don't want Marcus Mariota to ever throw the ball again. I think he's like not a great thrower, but Cordell Patterson, he obviously got hurt. I wish him the best. Hopefully he, can recover and maybe even play again this year. But this team is a lot of fun to watch. We probably have the best kicker in the league, I would say. And this defense is honestly the only reason that we're 2-2 at the moment. So if you guys haven't watched it, we can move on to the next game. But I'm so damn proud of these Falcons teams, man. And like I will actually say, like, we don't have a great fan base. It's nothing like the Saints, or it's nothing like the Cowboys or the Browns. Like they have really good fans, passionate fans. The Falcons really don't have that. But this year has been kind of a fun experience because they've way overseeded expectations. And it's actually kind of cool to see like the fan base interact and actually have a presence at games. So that was really cool to see.
Imagine how much better the Falcons would be if Desmond Ridder was starting and they would actually throw it to Kyle Pitts.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like that our offense hasn't even reached that level of like we're doing that, right? So we're winning games here and we're not even playing to our potential. I like when Desmond Ridder is able to go and play at a very consistent level and hopefully at a high level, the way this coaching staff seems to think he can play, and we actually start getting our number 3 overall pick involved in the offense, Drake London will always be there. Drake London is as consistent as a rookie as you can ask a rookie play. He's like Chris Olave for the Saints. He's just been very, very consistent, and that's all you can really ask for. So if we can get Kyle Pitts involved in this offense, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I'm very excited. And I don't know if Cruz is going to come back for the outro of the show, but I know we got the Packers, don't we?
Yeah. We have Packers, New England, overtime. Mason Crosby, still him.
This game
should not have gone to overtime.
No.
What's his name? Bailey Zappi?
Bailey Zappi.
You let a guy named Bailey Zappi take you to overtime.
He broke Joe Burrow's touchdown record last year, if that's anything worthwhile.
That's actually pretty important. Where did he play again?
Western Kentucky.
No shit. Okay. So he's actually not horrible. That dude looks like Mac Jones, doesn't he?
He does. He looks
he looks like someone who would play Mac Jones in Mac Jones's biopic.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
He looks like just a perfect like actor of Mac Jones. I love it.
Yes.
So I want to lead it off with this. Are you guys still a believer in Aaron Rodgers? Truly? Like, look deep within your soul and ask yourself if Aaron Rodgers is still the guy for your team.
Better than Jordan Love.
Well, it's probably, better than the alternative. But, I mean, moving forward, you have to think, like, okay, this cannot be our saving grace at this point.
Currently, I would say there are only a handful of quarterbacks that are legitimately still better and the potential to be better than Aaron Rodgers this season. Jalen Hurts is one of them.
Yep.
Much to Cruz's dismay. Josh Allen is one. Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes. Before the injury, Tua was one of them. After that, I don't know who's been there consistently enough to say, yeah, they are definitively better than Aaron Rodgers this season.
Right. No,
he's having one of his worst years so far to start the year, and I think a big chunk of that is the offensive line is still kind of hit or miss. The right tackle position is not meshing like we thought it would, and we've got two rookie wide receivers, and one of them has only seen the field for half the season so far.
Bond,
I will say, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of it has to do with him still getting into a groove, finding out what receivers are going to work. Right now, Romeo Doubs is already looking like wide receiver one. I think he played like 78% of the snaps or something.
That back shoulder touchdown looked very Devontae Rodgers, Jordy-esque.
And I've had a lot of people coming out saying like, or at least on Packers Beat Twitter, they're like, oh yeah, Romeo Doubs looks like the next Davante Adams. I don't see that. I see him making a name for himself. Because nobody's going to run routes the same way that
Davante Adams is currently still the best wide receiver in the league, and like even with the Raiders, right? He's I think he's still widely considered the best talent in the league. So you're comparing the guy to like one of the best to ever do it.
Right.
So that's a tough thing to live up to. But I mean, those back shoulder throws, the one that Aaron Rodgers threw to Dobbs, like that's a throw that takes a lot of confidence between quarterback and wide receiver. That's like, and you made the comparison to Davante Adams. It's because they've done it 1,000 times, right? Like they've ran that route and that pass has been made 1,000 times, whether it's in practice or games. So you gotta think like if they already have this connection 4 weeks into his first season, that connection is only going to improve as the season goes on and on and on. So I mean, Bond, you might come out of this looking like a genius. I know both of you probably said it that this guy was going to be a stud for you this year, but this connection for Aaron Rodgers and Romeo Doubs looks special.
I can't believe we got him in the 6th round. I cannot believe he fell that far.
It's going to be if he continues this pace, it'll be one of those like
this was the steal of the draft.
This was the steal of the draft,
yeah.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
That connection is special.
Yeah, we have a couple other games we can touch on. Tom Brady getting a divorce, lost to the Chiefs last night.
Him trading his entire family for football just to come back and kind of be just an average team. I mean, people forget like that defense has saved his ass in games already this season, and the Kansas City Chiefs just were too high. I mean, who said Madden wasn't realistic? Because Patrick Mahomes is going out there and playing like an unrealistic Madden game. Like if somebody did to me what Patrick Mahomes does on a football field to other teams, like my controller would be through the drywall. Like there's zero chance that I would say, oh, that's realistic. Like that his play, it was rollout on like, I want to say it was 2nd or 3rd down, and he rolls out from like the 1 yard line. He hits a spin move and just like tosses the ball to the guy in the end zone. Like that's so unrealistic. There's nobody else in the league that can do it, and I feel like an idiot for ever counting out this guy.
I would say the same thing. Like you said, if somebody did that to me in Madden, the controller is in pieces on the ground, the console is turned off, and there's a tweet out there that says this game is the most unrealistic thing I've ever played. I'm deleting Madden off of my Xbox.
It's one of those that goes viral on Twitter.
Yes, literally. And then he literally does it just casually on Sunday Night Football. Literally, I saw a picture from the other angle on that play. Devin White is, of course, in whatever stance he's in. And the picture of Patrick Mahomes, he has got the biggest grin on his face with his tongue sticking out. Like, he is just
psycho, man.
Football in this thing. It is the most ridiculous thing.
It's that psycho attitude. And some people have it. There's some people that just have that psycho mentality. Yeah. And he just has it. He's just out there having fun. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We already touched on the Bengals Saints with Marler Bengals Dolphins with Marler last week. The only other real game was Bills Ravens, but
closer than I thought.
That the Ravens defense was going to hold it too.
Yeah, Buffalo after that Miami loss looks like they have some cracks in the armor. I thought this team was like one of those teams that would go like straight up undefeated for like the whole year. Like I thought they legitimately had a shot at it. I mean, obviously they end up winning that game, and I think they pushed the spread. I think the spread was -3, but Bills -3 on the road. But
Bills defense is still their second string, though, isn't it? They're still missing a lot of people.
So I mean, once they get all their players back and they're at full strength again, maybe this is a different conversation. Maybe this game isn't as close. But I mean, I don't know. Josh Allen looks human. He looks like he's just not head and shoulders above everybody else. I still think he's probably the best quarterback in the league, but like he actually looks human. He didn't even look human in week 1, week 2. So I don't know, just a comeback play for them. I do like the team still. I still think they're Super Bowl favorites, but kind of a shocking result on that one that it came down to a last-second field goal.
I think wins like that on the road, very, very gritty, very, have to make that comeback. For a Super Bowl caliber team like Buffalo, it is very important that they get wins like that early in the season, just because you don't want to end up coasting by 20 and then, you get punched in the mouth and you don't know how to respond. They got punched in the mouth during this game and they still were able to respond and were able to come out with the win. So it was a very good win for Buffalo. And if anything, like we said, they got a ton of injuries. And so once they get healthy with a win like that under their belt, I think it only strengthens their chances at a Super Bowl, because now they know how to win this type of game.
What do you think about Marcus Peters almost fighting John Harbaugh on the sideline? Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but they
just had some
Marcus
words
Peters.
And Marcus Peters had to be like restrained on the sideline. He was about to go whoop some ass, but I don't know what was said. I don't know if it ever like came out what was said between them, or if, obviously tempers just flare on the sideline, but that's two just like close games, and honestly, if you really want to think about it, like Buffalo almost had a really gritty win against Miami. Yeah. So this is a tough stretch of games for them, and for them to split those games, Miami and then Baltimore, both of them, I see them as playoff teams. It's like you said, it's a gritty win to get on the road, and it's a scary win, but I don't think that Baltimore Raven team like that should take away from them. I think they're a really, really good team this year. So
they are. Lamar Jackson has bet on himself with not signing that contract extension, and it is working for him.
Isn't it crazy? Like that, so much money. The season so far right now, you have to imagine, has gotten him like $15-20 more million on his contract for sure, like easily. Guaranteed money. Yeah. I don't know. It'll be a good one.
All right, that's about all we had to run through. He's back.
I'm still here.
Hey, buddy.
Welcome back.
Why did you enjoy that?
I thoroughly enjoyed that. There was some like aggression from today, having to drive 7 hours, and I just took that out on you.
What kind of aggression? Like sexual aggression,
bro?
No,
none of that.
I'm just saying, like Wyatt's saying aggression over here is taking out his aggression on Cruz.
The fact that I had to drive down to Mobile to take a final and then come back to Tuscaloosa was some aggression that I needed to take out. And Cruz, I apologize for having to take that out on you, but it felt really good.
You know what?
So thank you.
I'm going to let you have it because you deserve it.
Thank you, buddy.
You do. Who says I'm not a good boss? I'm a good boss.
Great boss. Great boss.
So I am very excited. We will be in Tuscaloosa this weekend. We are actually doing a live podcast at Innisfree, the best college bar in America, this Saturday. Very excited. Thank you to the guys at Innisfree for letting us do this. Definitely please stop by. We're going to be putting some stuff out on social media. but it's going to be sponsored by Innisfree and Christopher Mobley, the best collegiate apparel in the South. You can get your uniforms for Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas, even some Big 10 and Big 12 teams. But definitely come by, join. We'll be giving away some prizes. We got a bar tab. It's going to be a great time. I'm excited to have everyone there. This is our first live show, so I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm pretty excited.
It'll be very I don't think we have really a plan going into it. I think it'll just be a fun one.
It'll be a fun one. Yeah.
I think we'll have a lot of people interact with, and obviously we'll be watching the 11 a.m. slate of games together. So It'll be a fun one to have, and obviously drinks will be flowing. So who knows what happens?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. It's a night game, so it's a marathon, not a sprint.
You sprint the marathon though.
You do not sprint the marathon when you're 30. You trust me.
I sprinted that Arkansas game this past week. It was
the text messages you were throwing in the chat were just like
they were
bananas.
Highly,
yeah. This guy was saying Jalen Milroe was not like the future, and then he rips off an 80-yard run to start the comeback.
I said he's looked rough, but
oh my! I thought you would.
That was the coldest take ever.
You would have thought that I pissed in someone's cereal when I said, and I made a joke, and people just ran with it. I said, this is the best quarterback to ever play quarterback at Alabama. And people lost it was clearly a joke, and people lost their mind. I was in the moment, and he had just ripped off that huge run. And I was like, you know what? I think this would be really funny. What's the worst that can happen? I found out.
It's like the Nate Oates tweet. You can't joke on Twitter.
Oh my god. Oh, I mean, we don't need to go. We don't need to go back to that.
It's not basketball season yet. We'll tackle that later.
We'll circle back to that tweet in November when basketball season starts. So.
Oh god, that's a whole other animal that we'll get into. All right, but that's gonna do it for us. We can't wait to see you guys on Saturday. Can't wait to be in Tuscaloosa. I'll be there Thursday night. But you can find me online at the Real Crews Ox on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you follow the Ox Core Podcast on all socials, and of course follow Boo Crew Media because they are awesome.
They are awesome. Drop a follow at InPerkins96. I'm going to take this time to say and to use our one F word for the show. So apologies, Maker's Mark. But the New York Mets have officially blown a 10.5 game lead over the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves are your NL East champions as of tonight. Fuck the New York Mets. I hope you all die. Bond, let them know what you got.
There's our one F-bomb.
Jesus.
You can follow me on Twitter at BondSnow_. And as always, go follow the Oxcore Podcast on TikTok at Oxcore Podcast.
Can I also just say that Nick, as a fan of Atlanta sports teams blowing leads, it's not impressive unless it's over 28 games.
Okay, 28.5 point game. Okay, well, here's the thing, right? Like, we don't get a lot of happiness in this town. There's not a lot to be happy about. So when your team is 500 and your team wins your division after coming back from 10.5 games down, it is definitely something you thank your lucky stars about. And honestly, at least our team didn't go across the pond and embarrass the entire sport on global television.
Nick, your team literally won the World Series last year.
I know.
What are you talking about?
It's good, but they come back from a 10.5. This was a tough game. We lost our best player to the Dodgers. This was like, we were still going to be good. We didn't know we would be like legit
Acuna is your best player. What are you talking about?
Freddie Freeman last year was like our life and soul.
Last year, before he got hurt, Acuna is clearly your best player.
He is now. Obviously, he tears his ACL. That's a different story. He's sitting on the sidelines.
All right.
But it doesn't matter. At least
Wyatt.
The Atlanta Falcons are like, as of right now, because I probably won't be able to say this for the future. The Atlanta Falcons are better than the New Orleans Saints in the standings. That's all.
Yeah, you blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter to us. Fun fact.
That is true.
Yeah, and you're that game away from being 0-4 and being worse than the Oakland Raiders. The pick you would be giving to the Philadelphia Eagles would be the first overall pick.
Oh my God, that would be
okay. Bond. Before Cruz starts crying, Bond, let him know.
Oh, I already win. It's Wyatt.
Yeah, it's Wyatt.
It's my turn. Thanks, guys.
All right, Wyatt.
Just real quick question: how many straight NL East titles is that, Nick?
I think it's 4. Is it 4 or 5? Is it 4? 5. Yeah.
5 straight NL East titles. Just wanted to throw that out there. Anyways, you guys can follow me. You guys can follow me on Twitter at FultonW_. Nick, I want to throw you a shout out here. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We have passed you again in Twitter followers.
Oh man, really?
Yes, by like 30.
Oh, attaboy. No, I like it. I like this little competition. We go back and forth, man. This is good. It'll be maybe end of basketball season. Maybe we can catch Cruz up there. So, what are you having at 9? 9,000?
Yeah, I'm at 9.
Okay. Well, we'll.
I've been slacking. I've been slacking lately.
We'll catch up to you soon.
I've been slacking lately. I'll get back on there. All right. Well, we love you guys, and we'll see you on Saturday.